Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and in today's video I'm going to be giving my reaction to Justin Gaethje winning via unanimous decision against Paddy to become interim UFC lightweight champion. And so if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and head over to the Patreon as well if you're wanting to join. If you use code Axel72, there's a few days left of January, you'll get 75% off your first month. And also, if you're wanting to get yourself some new fresh gym wear, head over to grindactivekinetics.com and use code Axel10 and you'll get yourself some fresh new gym wear to help with your possible New Year's resolutions that you are doing at the moment. And so yeah, let's get straight into this one though. And I mean, this was a much better fight than I feel people really expected. I mean, obviously, pretty much every fight in which Justin Gaethje is in is going to be an entertaining fight. That's pretty much just what we've gotten used to with Gaethje because of his style. But this did really live up to the notion that Scousers do not get knocked out. At least Paddy Pimblett, doesn't get knocked out. Of course, maybe if he was facing Ilia Topuria and taking the same shots with Topuria's power, it could have been a different story. But he did, very well to be able to show the toughness and to be able to get through the fight, to be fair. I mean, there was multiple times in which he got hurt and dropped, and just the fact that he was able to stick in there, I do feel like, showed, of course, immense toughness. And again, it was just, very impressive to see that he could last that. But he did kind of get dominated, in my opinion. I think it was 4-1, maybe 5-0 that I had the rounds. I mean, also, you kind of could make the argument that one or two of the rounds, especially the first round, was a 10-8 round because of the fact that Paddy got dropped and was hurt badly. Again, he got dropped later on in the fight as well. And again, you can make that argument that that was a 10-8 round as well. So, it was definitely a dominating performance for Justin Gaethje, which wasn't what people expected at all. Of course, Gaethje came in as the heavy underdog, so, again, it was very impressive. But Paddy showed that he can be there and he can be standing toe to toe, and I think he has improved, offensively from where he was, but I think he just doesn't know how to defend on the feet. He kind of just runs away or just stands there. I think he's very flat-footed. He has, not the kind of relaxed nature in which Gaethje has on the feet. He just doesn't look comfortable at all in a position to, respond back. Or it's just when he's under pressure, even if it's not actual physical output, he just doesn't look comfortable at all. And again, I think that's the kind of main reason why staying on the feet just wasn't, the right plan for him. But he said in the weigh-in that he was going to stand and trade. He said it to Dana, and obviously Dana, for an entertainment aspect, would have been loving the fact that he said that. But that definitely wasn't a good idea. I mean, it was definitely what made him lose, to be fair. I mean, I think it may even show ill discipline as well. I mean, I'm sure his corner wasn't just saying go toe to toe the entire fight with Justin Gaethje and not even try and go. Well, he tried, I think, one or two takedowns, but at that point it was already, he was knackered, he was hurt, he was, bleeding and cut, and it just, again, like I said, I don't know why he wanted to fight like that. Again, entertainment wise, it's good, but when you see other top names who, yes, maybe aren't fighting as entertaining as the likes of a Chimaev and Islam, you look at them and you say, they're fighting to their game plan. They know exactly what they're going to do and they're sticking to the game plan. They're not getting drawn into no silly kind of back and forth exchanges. They're doing exactly what they have to do to be able to win, and they're making the fight go into their favour. And I just don't understand when fighters, who aren't natural strikers, just force themselves to strike just for entertainment value. Again, maybe on the come up, it's a good idea because it can create a bit more hype and a bit more of a name about you if you have an entertaining fight, and maybe it can get you a contract with the UFC if that's what you're trying to get. But when you're fighting at the elite level, surely you just do whatever you can to be able to get the win, whatever's actually the best idea in your favour to get the win. And again, I just don't feel like that was it for Paddy, and again, like I say, it probably does show ill discipline, and I mean, I just really doubt that that was his game plan at all. But I mean, in between each round, he was playing up to the fans, and I'm sure the fans were loving it. It was very exciting, very entertaining. It was a good way to kick off the Paramount era. And for Gaethje, I mean, at 37 years old, to be able to win a fight like that and to keep a tempo like that, yes, he looked tired come the end of the fight, but to be able to still work and outstrike and outland and really hurt a young guy in Paddy on multiple occasions, it's very impressive. And I mean, it was a good unexpected moment for Gaethje. Of course, like I mentioned, he came in heavily as the underdog, which was pretty unfair, but of course I'm sure people made a lot of money betting on him, and he thrived. I mean, on the feet he was also showing good power again. I mean, we haven't seen that good level of power without him, taking a load of damage himself for a while from Gaethje. I mean, there's been plenty of fights where Gaethje's been going in backs and forths, but he's often taken a lot of damage. I mean, again, the Holloway fight, even the second Fiziev fight, there was still him taking a lot of unnecessary punches, but he didn't really take a stupid amount of damage in this fight. It was, he took shots and he had moments where he was getting hit with stuff, but it wasn't, his face wasn't all cut open and bruised and swelled. It wasn't a complete, like say, back and forth, whereas a 50-50 where he was taking loads of damage, he was, like I say, really holding himself well. And at stages, as well, I was just liking how he was kind of adding on an extra punch at the end of attacks, and also just kind of attacking in stages as well, because of the fact that Paddy just was very uncomfortable on the feet. He could see that there would be moments where he would react and flinch and cover up, and these were the moments where he wasn't looking to counter at all, and it made it very obvious when he was aiming to counter Paddy. So whenever them moments were there that he wasn't trying to set up a counter, Gaethje was in there to just land a decent punch for the most part as well. And I mean, now it basically is confirmed that it's going to be him versus Topuria next, and Topuria said a few things on socials about the fact that he was annoyed that Paddy lost, because it would have been such a huge payday for both of them to go up against each other because of the dynamic and the back and forth between the two of them. But now that's kind of gone. We of course now have Topuria Gaethje, which I think is still going to be an entertaining fight. It's probably going to be an all-out striking fight, but I still do just feel like at this point it could be even a 38-year-old Gaethje facing Topuria. And I mean, I think Topuria, unless his head's completely gone with all the things going on in the outside world, he might even come. Well, I mean, even if his head's gone, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So he might just come in there trying to kill Gaethje. But I think it's going to be a brutal affair. It probably will be on the White House show, on the White House card, and it'll be a good fight. But I really do still feel like Topuria would, be able to sleep Gaethje. It does make me question as well. I mean, if Paddy was in there with Topuria that last night, I'm sure Topuria would have really been able to sleep Paddy, and of course Gaethje wasn't actually able to. So again, another dynamic to the fight. But I mean, if Gaethje is somehow able to beat Topuria, that would be an amazing story, a crazy story. But I just don't know if it's realistic really. But you never know. Some things can happen. Moving on to speak about the co-main event though, and that was of course Sean O'Malley getting back to winning ways, winning via unanimous decision against Song Yadong. And I think this was definitely the fight in which O'Malley needed to get his confidence back and to, of course, get that kind of flow state back, getting back in the winning column. And I do feel it was a close fight. I mean, especially the first round, but it was obvious O'Malley, if he had a close round, the judges kind of were just going to give it to him because, of course, the UFC really do love O'Malley, and it was in America as well. And again, it was just kind of inevitable they were going to give it to Yadong that first round, even though it was close. But then Yadong's striking really wasn't bad at all. I mean, he just couldn't get the tempo and the output enough to disrupt O'Malley in that second round. He did dominate in that second round, and if he'd actually been able to keep him on the ground longer, maybe he would have, made O'Malley frustrated, or if he was able to get him on the ground in the third round, he definitely, could have been in an argument for winning the fight. But to come into the third round, O'Malley was back to the same kind of things he normally does, with faking that straight, and he often likes to start ducking down to then throw the straight, and then he'll mix up the knee when he sees that you're kind of flinching, reacting to that straight fake. And again, it's something in which he did against Vera, and it's something in which he's kind of known for doing now, and it's a beautiful knee in which he's able to land up the middle. Maybe fighters might become a little bit more predictable to or wary to it, I suppose, in future fights. But again, like I say, a stand-up fight, all right fight. Like I mentioned, O'Malley looked good in the final round, and just about did enough to be able to win. But I suppose you could have made the argument for O'Malley not winning, or maybe going to a draw. But at the same time, it's just that third round and that first round, and then it's just kind of who you want to pick. And of course, like I mentioned, the judges are going to side with O'Malley. And I mean, for the bantamweight division, I would love to see Umar versus O'Malley. I mean, Umar fought Davis and Figueiredo and actually stood and kind of countered quite a bit more and landed good counters on Figueiredo before mixing in the takedowns and things like that. But he showed an actual better level of striking in that fight of his. And again, for the rankings, it makes sense. I think it makes complete sense, the fact that both of them have lost to Merab. They should both face each other, but I just don't feel like we're going to see that. I think we'll probably have to wait around for Merab versus Jan 3, and then just kind of see whoever the UFC wants to give a title shot. I mean, I would say that Umar's title shot is, he's got a better argument for a title shot, but again, UFC do love O'Malley, and O'Malley has beaten Jan, so Jan might call for O'Malley for a rematch because of the fact that he's already beaten him. If he calls for it, then you kind of have to give Jan O'Malley if Jan beats Merab again. If Merab beats Jan, it's pretty much guaranteed it'll be Merab Umar 2. If O'Malley is there, and it's back and forth, and we're not sure if it's going to be Umar or O'Malley. Umar's on a 2-fight win streak, O'Malley's on a 1-fight win streak. I think then the argument is there and made for Umar, in my opinion. Moving on to the heavyweight fight, which was on this card, well, one of them, the one that was on, the big main card. Josh Hokic also made a good kind of introduction, I suppose, or made a good kind of name for himself with his fight, and that was really entertaining. But Waldo Cortes-Acosta TKO Derrick Lewis in round 2. Again, another prediction I actually got wrong, but it was a strange fight. I mean, I feel like Derrick really did show his level in this fight, and he really didn't have that much left to give. I mean, it was a bit of a shame, the fight. It shows that he basically will just be a gatekeeper for the heavyweight division till he retires, but it also looked like there isn't much left for him before, he could retire. The jumping front kicks were an interesting surprise from Lewis, to see somebody like that to be able to actually get his leg up that high was quite impressive, and I think it did catch Cortes-Acosta out, but other than that, Lewis looked like he didn't want to be there, kind of flopping on his back and just lying there on 2 separate occasions, showing absolutely no will to get up or want to get up. It was just weird. It was just crap, in my opinion. Cortes-Acosta didn't do loads other than landed counters on Lewis. I mean, Lewis was flinging himself in from all kinds of positions, which you kind of get used to with Lewis, but I mean, like I say, it still just was weird and messy, but Cortes-Acosta didn't really have to do that much. And then when he actually got the stoppage, again, it was just very strange. He landed quite a light shot on Lewis, or at least it looked like that, and then Lewis just kind of slipped and fell and then just flopped on his back and allowed Cortes-Acosta to get the finish. And I mean, for Cortes-Acosta, I think he can have fun going and beating up all the contenders at the moment, but I just don't think whatever happens he'll get a title shot because of the whole thing that's going on with Pereira, Jones, Aspinall, Garn. There's just too many big fights there, and I think the only way he could get a title shot would be possibly at the back end of this year, whoever is champion just having a first defense. But for the moment, I just have a feeling that just isn't going to happen. So he's probably going to have to fight again, or he's fought 3 times in quite quick succession. So if he wants to keep this activity, there are contenders about, and I would love to see him versus a Curtis Blaydes to wipe out another kind of opponent who's just going to stand still quite, just in front of him. I think Blaydes versus Cortes-Acosta is a good fight to make next. Like I mentioned, Josh Hokic called him out, but I don't think that will happen just yet. But still, like I say, Cortes-Acosta versus Blaydes is probably the fight in which I'd like to see next. And then other than that, I mean, the card was good. Alan Silva was a war like expected. Alan looked good and actually quite sharp, and looked like he could hold his own, saying he's been out for a little while, but the power of Silva was always kind of there. And then the weird kind of jumping off the back at the end. Again, he's an interesting character. I don't think people are actually going towards liking him that much at the moment, but he definitely is a unique character. Umar, like I mentioned, dominated Figgy, who was very drained making weight and didn't really have too much to give. I mean, he tried to stand there and be there, but you could tell that he just wasn't landing enough to be able to do anything. And then just, he showed a decent level of takedown defense, but he was still taken down by Umar. Ateba Gautier went to a decision where he actually showed that his gas tank really isn't the best. He loaded up, he dropped his opponent twice, but then he was just loading up otherwise, and then his opponent was able to still come back and land some shots. He has great power and he looks huge for the division, but I just don't know if he's just an all kind of hype guy. And like I say, if he actually gets put in deep waters, if he'll be able to swim. And then also Perez got a surprise KO in round 1 against Charles Johnson as well. Everybody was saying Charles Johnson for the win for this one, for the upset, because Perez has been on a bit of a slide. But a big KO for Perez's career to get himself back possibly into the good ranked positions and the good fights again. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did, indeed like the video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.